And to deliver this historic, hard-won and lasting peace, it is vital also that both sides now create the conditions for a final agreement. The Palestinians acting with persistence and real perseverance against the terrorists who attack your country. Israel freezing and withdrawing from settlements, and like many of your friends, I urge you to make these decisions. But let me tell you today that to ensure this historic, hard-won peace is lasting, Britain is also ready to lead the way in supporting an economic roadmap for peace. Not money for guns, but money for jobs, for businesses, for small firms, for housing and for prosperity, to underpin the political roadmap for peace, and to give all people in the region an economic stake in the future. As we did in Northern Ireland, mentioned earlier, to make the cost of returning to violence too high and too unacceptable a price to pay. And without compromising your needs for security, we need your help in easing the obstacles to Palestinian economic growth, including reopening the Chamber of Commerce in East Jerusalem. You, Israel, drawing upon your deep wells of hope and aspiration to give hope and aspiration to others. And no people in history has more global reach and global connection for good than the Jewish people. You are truly global citizens, often the first to offer help on medical aid or engineering assistance when there is a disaster. 106 years ago, Theodor Herzl, under whose portrait I'm proud to stand as I speak today, he set out his vision of the future in his book, Old New Land. He said that he saw Jerusalem as the center of a global educational, medical, and scientific endeavor. He said with it at its heart, there was a unique center for all kinds of charitable and social ventures, where work is done not only for the Jewish land and Jewish people, but for other lands and other peoples too. And he went on to say, whenever in the world a catastrophe occurs, earthquakes, flood, famine, drought, epidemic, the stricken country would telegraph to this center for help. And if the 19th century was a century of industrialization, the 20th century, the century tragically of war, of the Holocaust and a world divided, then we should make, in his words, the 21st century a century for a global community. A century where out of competing interests we find common interests. A time when by moving from conflict to harmony we make a reality of the vision of a global society, in which we create global civic institutions that turn words of friendship into bonds of human solidarity stronger than any divisions between us. And how do we champion this dream when so much seems to defy it? How do we ensure that the march of progress and justice is always towards those sunlit uplands? We do so by engaging those who will lead after us. We reach out to the generations to come. Already around 1,000 young people come from Britain to Israel on volunteering programs. I want hundreds more people who do voluntary service in Britain to link up with the thousands who do voluntary service here in Israel, bringing young people together, increasing understanding, realizing the potential for the greater good. And what I want to propose today is, in that spirit, a global citizenship corps, men and women from all nations coming together in a peaceful civilian force to offer help where there are conflict-ridden or disaster-ridden or disease-ridden homelands that need reconstruction, development and stability. Britain will contribute 1,000 experts and professionals to this global corps. And in this way, we will be able to ensure that where countries suffer from strife, conflict or natural disaster, there will be people ready to serve a neighbor or even a stranger in need of help and of hope. So someday, in the not too distant future, perhaps another boy will watch his father prepare to show pictures of his travels. This time not on a digital camera, not on an old projector, but I hope the pictures of a distant land of people working to build something worthy and proud that will inspire another young person to feel a deep and abiding friendship with Israel, this most promised of lands. And when in these next 60 years, my sons follow in the steps that their grandfather and their father have taken, I hope they will be able to see neighbors, once enemies, now friends. That next year in Jerusalem will mean not only home at last, but free from war at last. That the greatest victory of all is achieved, the victory of peace. and not only peace secured, but prosperity achieved, so that in the words of the prophet Isaiah, we turn swords into plowshares, so that there is never a need for swords again. The ancient dream given new life in a new age. And I believe that the stories of Israel's beginning and your perseverance that we commemorate this year will speak not just to Jews, but to all who believe in the victory of hope over despair, home over wandering in the desert, peace over war, the everlasting promise and power of the human spirit. And if we work hard enough together, we can achieve it. In the words of Theodor Herzl, Im Terzu, Ein Zil, Hag Adar. If you will it, it is no dream. Thank you very much.